Netflix's live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender had one job regarding Zuko. And while the series absolutely nailed the emotional weight of Zuko Alone and the complex tension with Iroh, there is one scene, a single baffling decision that almost destroyed his entire arc for me. Today, we're dissecting the good, the bad, and the truly preposterous choices Netflix made with the Fire Prince. Was this specific character change a total failure? Or is there a hidden method to the madness that actually pays off by the season finale? Let's find out. Netflix Avatar let Zuko down. Really, their accuracy in translating his arc in season 2 was equivalent to season 1, in my opinion, but the problem is that it is much more important to get Zuko right in season 2. Today I want to get into why I don't think that they fully ruined Zuko in this season. First off, they did a pretty good job translating Zuko Alone to live action. In fact, I think that there were parts of it that they did perfectly, and that hit just as hard as in the original show. 95% of episode 2 of Netflix season 2 was perfect for me, that 5% being the poorly written dialogue and one specific decision they made that I simply can't wrap my head around. But before we get into the single worst decision of the entire show, I want to talk about the good stuff. I think it's much more fun to like things, so we're going to do that for a second here. I think that what they did with Faye in this episode was brilliant. We see Zuko do all the things he does in the original show, but with some interesting changes. The kid doesn't have his full family there, it's just him and his sister. The kid's older brother becomes a much smaller part of the dynamic, and disappointingly, we don't see Zuko teach the little boy how to use his swords. I'm not surprised that was cut, but I am a little bit disappointed. What they replaced it with, however, was some of the best stuff in the episode. Faye and Zuko connect over being victims of the Fire Nation. It's the first time Zuko sees that he may not be just a failure, perhaps he is a victim. All of this means even more come episode 7 when we learn just how hard it is for a firebender to get burned. Apparently they have these instinctual defenses that keep them from getting burned, so Zuko believes that a part of him must have thought that he deserved to get burned as a child. To me, this just adds to showing the conflict inside of Zuko. That's obviously the most important part of Zuko in this season. It's him wrestling between who he really wants to be and who his father wants him to be, and even who Iroh wants him to be. And I think we get that. I think that the core of Zuko's story is carried through. We get to see him help Faye with various tasks. He even opens up to her in a way he hadn't really opened up to anyone else so far, even Uncle Iroh. And then, of course, comes the heartbreaking moment where they see him firebend, and this hit me just as hard as it did in the original. The fact that the Earth Kingdom citizens are so prejudiced against the Fire Nation, and for good reason, that despite how much Zuko has helped them, the little boy still throws a rock at Zuko and is incredibly difficult and really shows one of the prices that we pay when war drags on. And imagine it dragging on for 100 years. Then we need to talk about Zuko and Iroh. I thought that they kept the core of their relationship, which is definitely the most important thing. At the same time, Zuko says some incredibly hurtful things to Iroh at the end of episode 1. I was surprised at how far he took it, but I suppose it really makes sense when you examine what Netflix is doing with Zuko in this season. I think that they are trying really hard to make Zuko worse than he was before. There were some criticisms of Zuko in season 1 of people saying that he was too nice. Not so in this season. Let's finally talk about probably the worst arbitrary decision of the whole show. In the original animated show, Zuko is starving and sees a couple who has food. But when he sees that the wife is pregnant, he instantly decides not to take the food from them. In the live action, Zuko merely hesitates for a moment when he realizes that the woman is pregnant. Then he takes their food or water or whatever it was. It's a change that they had no reason to make, and that doesn't really make sense. I mean, Zuko literally spends the rest of the episode and the rest of the season helping people. So what is different in this moment? Why did they change this scene? Here's how I've justified it in my brain. I think that they're trying to show that while he is trying to be better, as he even says in the finale, he has not fully changed. This single decision shows the audience that Zuko is not good yet. I think that this actually does work, and it doesn't ruin his character entirely because of the events that occur in the season finale. Despite the appearance of progress for Zuko in Ba Sing Se, he relapses at the end of the season. The beginning of episode 2 is a clue that not everything we're seeing from Zuko may be entirely real. I'm gonna be entirely real though, I don't like this change. I've spent this whole video talking about the good and the bad of how Netflix treated Zuko, but no matter how the rest of the season went, this change is so preposterous that I almost lost Zuko's character entirely. But here's the thing, I I didn't. Because Dallas Liu's performance is so riveting, and the rest of Zuko's story is so compelling that I don't care. It's still such a good story that I made a whole video trying to make sense of why they made a horrible change, and if you enjoyed that video, which you just watched, hit like. Subscribe for more Avatar: The Last Airbender analyses and to help me beat Tyler Murphy to 1,000. With all that said, farewell, friends.